Hello and welcome to Indus News. Live from Islamabad, I'm Naila Shuja and these are the headlines. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has urged warring sides to reduce violence in Afghanistan. Meeting a Taliban delegation in Islamabad, Khan reiterated that there is no military solution to the conflict. He cautioned against those trying to spoil the ongoing peace process. The Prime Minister said Pakistan will continue to facilitate efforts aimed at bringing peace to Afghanistan. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says India is planning a surgical strike in Pakistan. Addressing a media briefing in Abu Dhabi, Qureshi said India is perpetrating terrorism in Pakistan. He added that Pakistan is a peace-loving country but is capable of giving a firm response to any Indian misadventure, just like it did in February 2019. He warned that any Indian aggression will be detrimental to the ongoing Afghan peace process. Pakistan says Indian troops fired on 2 UN military observers along the line of control when they were on their way to meet the victims of India's ceasefire violations. In a media briefing, the Foreign Office spokesman said that the observers remained unhurt and were evacuated by the Pakistan Army. In India, the Modi government remains firm on contentious new agricultural laws despite an impasse with protesting farmers. Farmers have blocked highways and certain state borders as they prepare for a longer sit-in at the Delhi border. The United States has surpassed 17 million cases of the new coronavirus with more than 310,000 deaths. Brazil recorded over 1,000 new COVID-19 deaths for the first time in more than 3 months, with a tally crossing 184,000. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, the virus has claimed 83 lives and infected nearly 3,000 people in the past 24 hours. The nationwide death toll has risen to 9,164. Globally, there are 1.6 million fatalities and 74 million infections. In cricket, New Zealand beat Pakistan by 5 wickets in the first T20 of their 3-match series in Auckland. Kiwis won the match in the 19th over after the Shaheens set a target of 154 runs. Tim Seifert scored a half-century for New Zealand. For more news and details, stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has urged warring sides to reduce violence in Afghanistan. Meeting a Taliban delegation led by Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar in Islamabad, Khan reiterated that there is no military solution to the conflict. The delegation was led by Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar. Khan cautioned against those trying to spoil the ongoing peace process. The Prime Minister said Pakistan will continue to facilitate efforts aimed at bringing peace to Afghanistan. He said all the sides should seize the historic opportunity for peace in the war-torn country. A Taliban spokesman said the Prime Minister told the delegation that his country will provide health care services to Afghan refugees in Pakistan. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says India is planning a surgical strike in Pakistan. Addressing a media briefing in Abu Dhabi, Qureshi said India is perpetrating terrorism in Pakistan. He added that Pakistan is a peace-loving country but is capable of giving a firm response to any Indian misadventure, just like it did in February 2019. He warned that any Indian aggression will be detrimental to the ongoing Afghan peace process. India, he said, is trying to take the spotlight off its internal problems, including the ongoing farmers' protest and discrimination against minorities. Earlier, Qureshi informed his UAE counterpart about threats to peace in the region. He said Pakistan has recently submitted a dossier to the United Nations containing undeniable evidence of India's state terrorism in Pakistan. Pakistan says Indian troops opened fire on a UN military observers along the line of control when they were on their way to meet the victims of India's ceasefire violations. In a media briefing, the Foreign Office spokesman said the observers remained unhurt and were evacuated by the Pakistan Army. Condemning the reprehensible act, the spokesman urged India to respect the 2003 ceasefire agreement. He said the Indian troops have martyred 27 civilians and wounded around 250 people in nearly 3,000 ceasefire violations this year alone. In a series of tweets, the military's media wing said that the incident shows the Indian Army's complete disregard for international law and UN Charter. It appreciated the selfless services rendered by all UN military observers in discharge of their duties. The United Nations General Assembly has unanimously approved a resolution sponsored by Pakistan. It reaffirms the right to self-determination for people subjected to colonial, foreign, and alien occupation.
The resolution, called Universal Realization of the Right of Peoples to Self-Determination, was co-sponsored by 71 countries. The Assembly opposed foreign military intervention and deplored the plight of refugees and displaced persons. Pakistan's UN Ambassador Munir Akram said the move reaffirms Islamabad's legal, political and moral case in support to Kashmiris. The Assembly also adopted a resolution on Palestinian self-determination and their right to an independent state. Later, Akram, who also heads the Economic and Social Council, called on UNGA President Volkan Bozkır. They discussed areas of coherence in the upcoming joint briefing of General Assembly and ECOSOC.
In India, the Modi government remains firm on new agriculture laws despite an impasse with the protesting farmers. Farmers have blocked highways and certain state borders as they prepare for a longer sit-in at the Delhi border.
The Shutdown India movement against agricultural reforms by Indian farmers has entered its 23rd day. Farm leaders have called for a boycott of products by corporations they say lobbied for the legislation. These corporations include the Ambani and Adani business groups. Meanwhile, the government in Uttar Pradesh state has issued notices to 6 farmer leaders asking them to submit bonds of 50,000 rupees. The farmers have dubbed it as harassment and have denied giving into such tactics. Refusing to repeal the laws, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has dubbed tens of thousands of farmers unpatriotic. Yesterday, the Indian Supreme Court defended the right to non-violent protests of farmers. It suggested the government should not implement farm laws till the court makes a final decision.
Iran has rejected a call by the International Atomic Energy Agency to renegotiate the 2015 nuclear deal. Iran's envoy to the IAEA, Kazim Garibabadi, says any assessment on how the commitments are implemented is beyond the agency's mandate. He said the watchdog's job is to monitor and verify voluntarily adopted preventive measures and provide regular updates. Garibabadi also said that there is no necessity for a new document on the agency's role, as it will complicate the situation. Earlier, IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi said the United States' re-entry into the deal would require a new agreement. He said it would have to address how Iran's violations of the accord can be reversed. More than 300 boys kidnapped from a boarding school in northwestern Nigeria have been released. In an interview, State Governor Aminu Bello Masari says the students are on their way back to Katsina. Masari said all freed students were found unharmed and are in good state. He said most of the kidnapped students have been rescued, if not all of them. He did not say how many had been missing or how they were freed. Masari also made assurances on the increased security of all schools before they decide to reopen. The attack on the school on December 11th has been claimed by Boko Haram militants. In the United States, federal authorities have expressed alarm about long undetected intrusion into their computer systems around the globe. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency said the attack was aimed at critical infrastructure. Homeland Security has defined critical infrastructure as vital assets to its economy, power plants, and financial institutions. While warning of a grave risk to the government and private networks, it suspects that Russian hackers were behind the attacks. Authorities said it was hard to detect and would be difficult to undo. The Department of Energy acknowledged they have been among those breached by unknown hackers. In Iraq, a leaked draft of the state budget was prompted widespread outrage. It has confirmed that the government's intentions to devalue the national currency and cut salaries to cope with a severe economic crisis. In a statement, the finance ministry expressed resentment and deep regret over the unauthorized publication. It said the premature release of the bill to the media was very irresponsible. The ministry said public hysteria over the content would impact the neutrality of the legislatures. The parliament is to discuss and introduce possible amendments to the draft in a session scheduled for Saturday. The United States has surpassed 17 million cases of the new coronavirus with more than 310,000 deaths. Brazil recorded over 1,000 new COVID-19 deaths for the first time in more than 3 months, with the tally crossing 184,000. Globally, there are more than 1.6 million fatalities and 74 million infections. More in this report.
A frightening surge in coronavirus cases and vaccine optimism are trading hand in hand at this stage of the pandemic, with COVID-19 hospitalizations at a record high for the 12th straight day in the U.S. The Food and Drug Authority advisors have endorsed emergency use of Moderna's vaccine. Meanwhile, California has reported record high daily deaths, while San Francisco has imposed a 10-day quarantine on the incoming travelers. Down south, Colombia's daily cases have reached their highest level since August, as the government warned people against large holiday gatherings. Chile says the first doses of the Pfizer vaccine will arrive this month, allowing it to begin vaccination before the year ends.
Hasta ahora tenemos.
So far, we are in very advanced stages and we have agreements that guarantee 10 million doses with the Pfizer-BioNTech laboratory and 10 million doses with the Sinovac laboratory. If we add to this the agreement we have with laboratories such as AstraZeneca, Oxford, Janssen, Johnson & Johnson, and the alliance with COVAX, they allow us to reach more than 30 million doses of vaccines. These contracts will allow us to distribute 20 million doses of vaccine during the first half of the next year.
In Europe, French President Emmanuel Macron's positive test has sent ripples through the European political sphere, with multiple leaders forced to quarantine. Northern Ireland is preparing for a sweeping lockdown and deployment of paramedics from the Republic of Ireland. Meanwhile, a new mystery cluster of COVID-19 cases in Australia's New South Wales continue to grow. Many states and territories are imposing border restrictions and other curbs amid fears of a surge.
So everybody in Greater Sydney needs to be on high alert. If you have the mildest of symptoms, please get tested and isolate. But also, can everybody please think about their activity? Nobody should be getting on public transport without wearing a mask. Nobody in Greater Sydney should be going to a supermarket, a place of worship, or other high-risk areas without wearing a mask.
In Asia, South Korea continues to grapple with the latest outbreak as it reported over 1,000 cases overnight yet again. China is planning to vaccinate 50 million people before the start of the peak Lunar New Year travel season, and Pfizer has filed a request for approval of its vaccine in Japan.
In Pakistan, 83 people have lost their lives to COVID-19 over the past 24 hours. This takes the country's death toll to over 9,164. The ministry said over 3,000 new infections were detected overnight, which makes the active cases more than 42,000 in the country. The health ministry says out of over 451,000 countrywide cases, more than 399,000 people have recovered. The ministry said over 201,000 cases have been detected in the province of Sindh, while the Punjab has reported nearly 130,000 cases. In the capital, Islamabad, nearly 35,000 cases have been infected. It's now time for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, 38 states have gathered to mark the third antitrust legal action against technology giant Google. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, who is leading the challenge, said the suit seeks to restore competition in the market. The lawsuit alleges that Google manipulates its search engine to give its products and services greater rankings than other rivals. It says Google illegally maintains its monopoly over other search engines. New York Attorney General Lolita Jones said for decades now, Google has served as the gatekeeper of the internet. She said that it has weaponized the searcher's data to kill off competitors and control public decision-making. This comes after 10 states led by Texas filed a lawsuit against Google for violating the antitrust law. In Austria, world champion sport climber Angela Eater has completed a groundbreaking gravity-defying route on a rock surface in the mountains of Tyrol. Eater believes that she is the first woman to conquer the route, as she has dubbed Madame Ching after the 19th century pirate. It took her 100 moves to ascend. She had to navigate her way through the debris and the fragile rock. But in the end, Madame Ching was no match for the Austrian climber, who has 4 World Cup titles, 4 World Championship golds, and 1 European Championship gold. Christmas has gone to the dogs in Peru. The nation's pooches put on their festive best to mark the holiday season. More in this report.
Funny hats, jingle bells, and tartan were all the rage on this runway in Lima, the capital city of Peru. But the showstoppers were a stream of pampered pooches. There was a serious message behind the costumes, with owners speaking out against the use of fireworks this Christmas.
We organized this for the Christmas season, with people coming with their dogs dressed up for Christmas. They have received a talk on responsible pet ownership, and also when it comes to dealing with these festivities, there's always fireworks, and such things have an impact.
Due to their heightened levels of hearing, many dogs suffer from anxiety from the sharp sounds of fireworks going off.
The message is just that, no to fireworks. They are very sensitive to sound, and it is them who lose out in Christmas. That is why we say no to fireworks.
The parade also awarded the best dressed pooch this holiday season.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says post-Brexit trade talks are now in a serious phase. In a statement, Johnson said every effort was being made to accommodate reasonable European Union requests on the level playing field. It said the gap has narrowed some fundamental areas which remain difficult to resolve. Johnson reiterated that time is short and no deal scenario is very unlikely unless the EU changes their position substantially. Earlier, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that it will be very challenging to bridge the big differences, and particularly on the fisheries issue. She said there was substantial progress in the talks on many issues. Trade talks will resume today in Brussels, with 2 weeks to go before the UK finally leaves the EU trading rules. European stocks are trading higher as post-Brexit trade talks and coronavirus developments dominate market sentiment. The Pan-European Stock 600 has edged up, with travel and leisure stocks adding almost 1%. London's FTSE 100 has added more than 0.5%, while Italy's FTSE MIB has gained marginally. Frankfurt's DAX has risen close to 0.5%, while the CAC 40 in Paris has edged up 0.25%. Earlier, most Asian bourses traded lower, with the exception of Seoul's Kospi. In cricket, New Zealand beat Pakistan by 5 wickets in their first T20 of the 3-match series in Auckland. Kiwis won the match in the 19th over after the Shaheens set a target of 154 runs. Tim Seifert scored half a century for the team. Jacob Duffy took 4 wickets for the Kiwis, giving 33 runs in his 4 overs. For the Green Caps, Haris Yusuf took 3 wickets for 29 runs. Shadab Khan remained at the top scorer for Pakistan with 42 runs in the 32 balls. Both sides were playing without some of their key players. Bayern Munich forward Robert Lewandowski has been named the best FIFA Men's Player 2020, and England's Lucy Bronze has been named as the best FIFA Women's Player of the Year. More in this report.
This year's FIFA Best Awards were conducted virtually due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Bayern Munich's Robert Lewandowski was crowned the best men's player in Zurich, beating Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. He won the German League and Cup double as well as the Champions League with Bayern. He finished as a top scorer in all three competitions and won the award for the first time.
I'm very proud to have won this award. It was a team performance, really. It was impressive what we were able to win all together. It's an incredible feeling, and I am very glad that I was able to be selected with Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo and receive the award.
Liverpool coach Jurgen Klopp has been named the best men's coach for the second successive year, while Bayern Munich's goalkeeper Manuel Neuer won the best men's goalkeeper award, beating Jan Oblak and Alisson. Meanwhile, the Netherlands' Serena Weyman was named the best women's coach and Sarah Buhari was awarded the best FIFA women's goalkeeper. Manchester City fullback Lucy Bronze won the Women's Best Player award, becoming the first women English player to take the prize.
If there's anything that 2020 has taught us is to appreciate every single moment that you've got, to never look too far ahead and to just live in the here and now. So I think winning this award right now, this year, I would appreciate it more than ever, and I'll remember this moment for the rest of my life, and I really will just enjoy the moment, and I'm just so thankful for everybody's support.
The winners have been decided by nominations from national team captains and head coaches. There was also an online ballot of fans and 200 media representatives.
It's now time to take a look at the weather around the world. For the latest news updates, you can follow us on our social media at indus.news.